Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, welcome to Larry's House of Hockey. Well, that time of year, my favorite time of the year, is upon us. Stanley Cup Playoffs start tomorrow. And I wanted to kind of do another little prediction video. Only this is actually trying to predict who is going to win the Stanley Cup. Now, of course, I have all the matchups here. I have the Central Division here, the Pacific Division here, the Atlantic Division right here, and of course the Metropolitan Division right here. And of course we got the top four seeds in each division. Now, mind you, the Predators and the Knights crossed over because of their wild card spots. Nashville got the first wild card, which took them down into playing Vancouver, and Vegas was the number 2 wild card, so they ended up playing Dallas because Dallas had a better record than Vancouver, and those were the 2 division winners, Dallas and Vancouver. So they kind of flip-flopped, where over here you didn't see anybody flip-flop. These are all Atlantic Division teams, so they all stay there, and these are all Metropolitan Division teams. They all stay in their own division. The only 2 teams that flip-flopped was the Pacific Division's Golden Knights going to the Central, and the Central Division's Nashville Predators going into the Pacific. So we have the matchups here, and trying to predict who ends up winning. Some of these series are going to be hard. It's going to be very interesting to see, but I figure let's get in and try this. So we'll start out with the Dallas Stars against the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, the Vegas Golden Knights, the defending Stanley Cup champions. They've been racked with injuries, but a lot of their guys have come back, and a lot of people, talking about the whole, they're getting around the LTIR and all that. But I don't know. I don't know. Their goaltending hasn't been the greatest this year, and I don't know. Dallas has been outstanding. Dallas has had a tremendous season so far, and Ottinger's playing out of his mind. And I mean, Ben, Robertson, Heiskanen, Hintz, they're incredible. So this one, it's going to be a hard series, I think. I think it goes 7, but I have the Dallas Stars moving on to the Central Division Final, 4-3 over the defending champion Vegas Golden Knights. Now their opponent, going down to the 2-3 matchup, the Winnipeg Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. Winnipeg, one of the best seasons I think they've ever had. 52 wins on the year. They flirted with being the division leaders for a good chunk of the time. In the power rankings that I did, they were number 1 of few times, and they've looked phenomenal. They really have. But Colorado, they have Nathan McKinnon, and they have Cale Makar. They're loaded. Colorado is loaded. Now, when you look at the goaltending matchups, the goaltending matchup definitely favors Winnipeg because they have Connor Hellebuck, who is the front runner for the Vezina Trophy. Colorado's goaltending, Georgiev, he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been stellar. And Eustace Annunen, he's been a little better, I think, than Georgiev. I'm not sure who gets the start in game one, but in this series between the Jets and the Avs, as much as I would love to see Winnipeg make a move and make a run, I don't see it happening. I see Colorado beating the Winnipeg Jets in 6 games. So that means the Dallas Stars will play the Colorado Avalanche in the Central Division Final. We move down to the Pacific Division. We have the Vancouver Canucks against the Nashville Predators. Vancouver, a team that really kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, who really expected them to be a playoff team this year? I didn't really, and they've had an incredible year, and they ended up, they won 50 games. They won 50 games this year. Pretty good for Colorado, or for Vancouver. I'm mixing up all kinds of teams. So 50 wins for Vancouver. Good season. They're playing against a Nashville team that didn't look too great early on in the season, but then they went and they had an 18-game point streak, and they ended up being pretty good. The goaltending, of course, you got Thatcher Demko, who just returned from injury for Vancouver. You got UC Saros for Nashville. Goaltending, I'd say, is pretty even. They're both really good goaltenders. This is a tough one too. But I'm gonna say this goes to 7 games also. And yes, I do think it is going 7 games. And this probably won't make my wife real happy, but I have the Vancouver Canucks in 7 over the Nashville Predators. Now, of course, Nashville is my wife's team, so that probably won't make her real happy that I'm thinking Nashville is going to lose. But, Vancouver's a really good team. Now we go to the 2-3 matchup, the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. This is the 3rd year in a row that these guys have played each other. And LA has looked good. LA has looked good. Edmonton, of course, Edmonton came 1 win shy of 50, considering the start they had. The fact that they even got to that point was incredible. Goaltending is kind of, they've got, the Kings have Talbot, and of course the Oilers have Skinner. This one, I guess it's not as hard to pick this one, and because I think this is going, I think at least 6, and I have the Edmonton Oilers knocking out the Los Angeles Kings, setting up a Pacific Division final between the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. Guaranteed that would guarantee a Canadian team plays in the Western Conference Final. So now we move over here to the Atlantic. You have the Battle of Florida in the first round. That's going to be a fun series. That's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Florida, of course, they went to the Stanley Cup Final last year. They ended up winning the Atlantic Division on the last day of the season, and and they're playing Tampa Bay. This series is tough to this one's tough to pick. I think this series goes 7 also. And I honestly think that Florida, in the end, is going to find a way to knock out the Tampa Bay Lightning. So that puts Tampa Bay in the Atlantic Division Final. Now, the 2-3 matchup, Boston-Toronto. Now, this one, Toronto has never done well against Boston. And honestly, this one, as I'm damn near knocking things over, this one, I honestly think, and this series, these two teams always go 7, but if there's anything that's for sure, death, taxes, and the Maple Leafs losing to the Boston Bruins. Toronto loses in the first round to the Boston Bruins again, and that would mean the Atlantic Division Final would be, oddly enough, a rematch of last year's first round matchup between the Panthers and the Bruins. So no upsets yet. I don't have any upsets here so far. Well, no, technically I guess I do have one, because in this series I have the number 3 seeded Avalanche beating Winnipeg. So we go to the Metro. The Rangers and the Capitals. The Rangers, of course, they won the President's Trophy this year. Fabulous season. Igor Shesterkin had a great season. Jonathan Quick, as the backup, had a phenomenal season too. Washington, they had a negative goal differential. It was not pretty. What was their goal differential here? Yeah. Washington made the playoffs with a minus 37 goal differential. So I don't see Washington being able to hang. I'm going to give them one win at least, though. So I have the New York Rangers beating the Washington Capitals in 5 games to go to the Metropolitan Division Final. Now this one, Carolina and the New York Islanders. Now these teams have played before, and because I think they played last year, and Carolina won. The Islanders, of course, they kind of came. It wasn't looking like they were going to make the playoffs either. They ended up finding their way into the number 3 seed in the Metro Division, and there's a big discrepancy point-wise here between these two teams. Carolina had 111 points on the year. The New York Islanders had 94. So, what is that? 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. There, I'm doing math. 10, 27 points? Yeah. Or no. No, 17. 17-point difference between the Hurricanes and the Islanders. And this one, Carolina's good. They're really good. They need a good, they need a good run. They went to the conference finals last year. This one, I think, is going to be somewhat close, but not that close, I don't think. So I have, in 6 games, I have the Hurricanes beating the Islanders in 6 games, setting up a New York Ranger Carolina Hurricane Metro Division Final. So, moving to the division finals, we have start with the Central Division. We have the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. These two teams were neck and neck during a good chunk of the season. Dallas, of course, phenomenal. I mean, like I said, they've got Ben, Sagan, Hintz, Heiskanen, Robertson. Dallas is just, they're so good. Dallas is so good. But again, Colorado has Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar. They're very hard to stop. And man, this one's tough. This one is really tough. I just think ultimately it's going to come down to goaltending. I think this goes 7 games also. But if it comes down to goaltending, I will take Jake Ottinger to overcome, and the Dallas Stars win the Central Division and are in the Western Conference Final in 7 games over Colorado. Now, going to the Pacific Division. Now, this one, oh boy. A Canadian battle, guaranteeing a Canadian team ends up in the conference final. The Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. Again, you got Demko, Skinner in goal. You know, I mean, the Oilers, they have McDavid, they have Draisaitl, they have Kane, they have Nugent Hopkins. But, you know, the Oilers, the Canucks, you know, they've got Besser, they've got JT Miller, they've got Pettersson. They're a really good team, too. And this one, I don't think this goes 7, but I think it's going to be interesting. When it comes right down to it, though, I don't think Vancouver has quite enough to overcome Edmonton. Now, that has Edmonton playing Dallas in the Western Conference Final. Now we move over to the East. We've got, of course, the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins. A rematch of last year's first round matchup where the Bruins were up 3-1 and blew it. They had a lead in Game 7 with about 2 minutes to go, a little under 2 minutes to go. They couldn't hold it. Then Florida took them out in overtime. This one, boy, Panthers and Bruins. I got a feeling this is something similar here. But I think we're going to get the same result. I think the Florida Panthers will beat the Boston Bruins. They will win the Atlantic Division and be in the Eastern Conference Final for the second year in a row. Now, the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes. This matchup is going to be insane. These two teams, they don't like each other. They know each other really well. And, I mean, you know, this will be a phenomenal series. You know, I mean, you know, with the Rangers having guys like Zibanejad, Panarin, Adam Fox, you know, it's going to be incredible. You know, Carolina, of course, has Sebastian Aho. You know, they have Teuvo Teravainen. You know, Andrei Svechnikov. A lot of really good players on Carolina. This series, I think, is going to go the distance. But I think home ice will be a big part in this series. So I have the New York Rangers knocking out Carolina to win the Metropolitan Division and go to the Eastern Conference Final to play the Florida Panthers. So we're down to the Final Four. The Western Conference Final, Dallas Stars versus Edmonton Oilers. And the Eastern Conference Final, Florida Panthers versus the New York Rangers. This one, man, oh man. This one, now any one of these series I could obviously be wrong on, big time. But, man, this one, Dallas and Edmonton. I just, you know, a part of me, This bit me in the butt last year. This really bit me in the butt last year. But I just... man, in big moments, I think in big moments, it's going to come down to it. It's going to come down to a big moment, and I think this series, I'm going to say this goes 6, and I might be completely out of my mind. But I'm picking the Edmonton Oilers to end up in the Stanley Cup Final. And like I said, I might be completely off my rocker because I picked them to be in this spot last year. The Edmonton Oilers are the Western Conference champions. Again, I could be totally wrong. Now, their opponent, the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers. The Panthers, big, heavy team, love to hit. They got a ton of talent. The New York Rangers, a ton of talent, great goaltending. And this one I think goes 7. And I think we are going to have a chance for the first time since 2013, we will see if a team can win the President's Trophy and win the Stanley Cup. I have the New York Rangers coming out of the East. So the Stanley Cup Final, to me, and like I said, I could be completely wrong on any one of these. I have the Edmonton Oilers and the New York Rangers playing for the Stanley Cup. And, oh, man. This one is going to be... This one's a tough call. And... oh, man. This is a hard pick. It really is. And I look at goaltending overall. I look at the talent overall. I did this last year. I'm going to do it again. It goes 7. And like I said, I might be kicking myself in the butt again for doing this. But I am going to pick to win the Stanley Cup. I'm going to do it again like I did last year. I think Connor McDavid finally gets his ring. And I think the Edmonton Oilers end up being your 2024 Stanley Cup champion. Like I said, I could be completely wrong. I'm expecting to be wrong somewhere along the line. But that is kind of my bracket and who I think is going to end up winning each series and who I think is going to end up winning the whole thing. A lot of 7-game series in here. A lot of 7-game series in here. That's how close I think a lot of these matchups are. But I think ultimately the Edmonton Oilers end up winning. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Who do you guys have winning each series? Who do you guys have ultimately winning the Stanley Cup? And be sure also in the comment section, tell me which of these series you think I'm totally cracked on, that there's no way this team will end up winning. Which of these series do you think I'm going to be totally wrong in? I'm expecting to be wrong in at least a few of them, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But let me know who you guys have winning the series and winning the cup. Please like this video, hit that thumbs up. Also, if it would be greatly appreciated if you would please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to share this video, you want to share this little prediction video with your friends, go right ahead. And then your friends can tell me how cracked I am when it comes to who I've got potentially winning these matchups. So, yep, that's who I've got. That's kind of who I've got picked for the 2024 Stanley Cup Playoffs for each series, and who I have winning the Stanley Cup. Let me know how nuts you think I am, and I'll see you guys later.